recognize Resident Advisory Board and Resident Council for residents of public housing here in Charlottesville. I have written comment, and they are much more brief than normal. Mainly just looking for some updates and some information. I think it's really important. Sometimes over at FAR we kind of know what's going on, but the rest of the public doesn't necessarily know what's up. We do our best to inform residents of what's going on, but this is a great opportunity. I understand you're on Facebook tonight, so it's a great way to get a lot of information out to the public. Would like to hear tonight updates on the following, and I'm not sure where you want to just get these, but kind of just sort of a understanding of the trees and the replacement housing and how that's panned out or still ongoing. Staffing is big, and there's some comments about that. Vacancies I see in the site roll-up, it lists that, but it'd be good to just have some discussion. It's been a while since you all have discussed that, and I know it needs to be a priority, so it would be cool to hear how things are going in terms of turnovers. Like, it's really hard narrowing down that number, but I see that there's also a lot of turns going on, so it seems to be a thing there, and it'd be cool to have you all discuss that a little bit. What happened with the 2 REAC inspections so far? I know you don't know much yet, but maybe just a quick note about that. And then hoping to hear about accounts receivable and summons for unlawful detainers that are issued, and I just want to repeat a request from last month that those get included in the all sites roll-up summary. And then the capital funding budget, if we could get that over at FAR and maybe have some discussion, it'd be cool to hear y'all discuss the capital funding budget as well. See, on tonight you have on your agenda safety. As you know, FAR has chimed in on safety numerous times over the years. We've offered recommendations. Some of them have been fulfilled, many have not. Some of them, I think a big part of what the CRHA can do is lease enforcement, and what typically seems to happen is like an immediate crackdown, and people who really aren't causing problems get kind of swept up in that, and people who are causing long-standing problems somehow tend to avoid that. So it's the consistency of lease enforcement that seems really important, and I know there's other steps y'all can take, but you know, as always, that needs to be a community conversation if you're going to talk about instituting any new kind of programming or efforts or policy changes. But consistency in lease enforcement is huge. I know it's not easy, and I know CRHA staff gets frustrated with FAR and legal aid's involvement when a resident comes to us and they may have a lease violation and we try to help them resolve a problem. That's our job. It's CRHA's job to enforce the lease, and sometimes we don't get the full story. Sometimes y'all don't get the full story, and you know, when we can address these, a lot of times we can resolve things. We're not trying to get in the way, but we are trying to do our job. Similarly, the barment policy is a really good example of that. You have a barment in place for a reason. The policy was changed many years ago to make it more fair. I know it's difficult to enforce as a result of respecting that, but you know, that's just the hard work that has to get done when you have a cool policy, right? You're a model agency in terms of this barment policy and the unbarment policy. It doesn't mean you just scrap barment altogether. It means that you go by the rules that we all established and use that as a tool, hopefully consistently, instead of just an immediate crackdown that then kind of disappears. And the parking policy, I think, is the same. We had high hopes for the parking policy when it comes to safety, and I'm just not sure how consistent that is or what can be done, but I think from our perspective that still plays a major role in resident safety. The Charlottesville Supplemental Rental Assistance Program, we listed a bunch of questions in here. Some of this I actually know the answers to, but it would be cool to just have this sort of out there for the public to understand. I think, you know, it's still kind of a mysterious thing to a lot of people. I particularly would like to know if all those funds are gone. And honestly, I get calls and I kind of wonder if it's something that I can refer people to, how that really fits with the HCV list. There's still a lot of questions in our mind about that program, and I think in the public in general. Staffing, this is something I really hope the board will embrace. FAR's really embraced this idea. We really encourage swift selection of sort of an upper tier management staff for the housing authority. I know you've been moving in that direction. You're moving towards this call center. But redevelopment coordinator, HCV program head, director of housing services and facilities maintenance modernization manager. I really hope the board will put the necessary resources into finding really awesome people and treat them well so that we really get a really great team to move forward in the future, because the future all changes next month. Y'all are going to take a big vote, and let's get less seat of the pants and more focused on team building and creating a new future for everybody. So with that, I think that's all I got.
Thank you. Are there other comments this evening? Ms. Wilcox, did you want to make a comment this evening?
Good evening. My name is Annette Wilcox. I'm excited to see fall. Usually I like summer, but not when it's too hot. It's easier for me to try not to get sick with too many hot weather related fevers. I can always put an ice pack on to get well quicker. It's easier for me to walk around and see the downtown mall and travel. But sometimes I stay in the air-conditioned room and listen to classical music and paint birthday cards.
Thank you, Ms. Wilcox. If there are no other comments at this time, I'll open the floor to comments and questions from commissioners.
For me, it's back to the personnel policies. I would like to see that we set a meeting tonight, possibly, that we have the group that we selected, that we do not cancel this meeting. Regardless of what happens, we don't cancel this meeting. Who can show up, who can't. We need to have this meeting to happen ASAP.
Okay. So at the end, we'll schedule it. We'll do a scheduling round and include that.
That'll work. Also, I too have concerns about enforcement with residents, not just residents, but staff as well. Also with the environment and the parking. I mean, we make these, we spend a lot of time making rules and regulations, and they never are used, they never are applied. And then when they are, nobody knows what personnel policy we're using. There's two of them out there. Don't know which one they're using. They haven't been updated in God knows how long. So that needs to happen, and we need to stop playing games about this, because we keep coming and we keep asking and we keep asking and nothing is happening. This needs to happen.
No comments.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please? Since I've been out of the loop, how is the smoking policy working?
Great, Rich.
So far, we've been hearing some pretty good things about it. Question people across the halls, a lot of them are saying that that a lot of them have stopped smoking. I don't think that they probably haven't really stopped smoking, but probably are using the smoking areas. What I see in my neighborhood, people are walking out to the areas where they're supposed to smoke. I haven't heard any negative stuff about it. Even though I'm sure some out there, but I think that, with the services and stuff and the resources that we brought in, I think there's more people who are thinking more about wanting to smoke and being able to use those resources. So it's still, for me, giving them time, but pretty soon the smoking group that Dr. Daniel have at the health department will be happening at Crescent Hall.
Oh, awesome.
Great. And maybe in our round of annual planning meetings, we could make sure we bring some smoking policy, smoking resources just to have in the background, just to keep it out there.
Well, yeah, and also when he's at Crescent Hall, I think that was one of our biggest turnouts there. And I think just having those resources there will kind of spread what he did in West Haven, so.
And I know we'll talk about it a little later, but maybe I can put you on the spot, Ms. Sharon, and say welcome, and that the West Haven Clinic is open, thanks to Ms. Sharon, and there's smoking cessation resources there for sure, and that the clinic there can help people get connected now that it's open so much more often. I put you on the spot. Did you want to speak or say anything this evening?
Here to listen.
Excellent. You
No,
wanna-
I was just gonna say, you can tell folks who don't know who she is.
Why don't you come up?
Not expect to do that.
That's quite all right. We're pretty informal here.
Some folks don't know who you are, and
Yeah.
everybody needs to know who you are.
Okay.
Tell us who you are and how often you're at the clinic. And
Okay, so my name is Sharon Feith. Should I be looking that way or this way?
this way.
Okay, and I started at the clinic in the beginning of August. It is not completely up and running that someone is there all the time, but I think I've been able to find a few hours every day to be there in the clinic. It is a process, and I think that people are beginning to recognize me and to recognize my face, and I've had a few people come in the clinic and been able to do a few home visits. So I am really just there to help connect people with resources. I'm not doing primary care. I'm not diagnosing and giving medications, but it would be more like, do you need to be seen right away? Do you have a family practitioner or a provider? Can we connect you? Can I help get you in for an appointment pretty quick? If you don't have one, let me help you find one. And then just other resources. I mean, I do see myself as an advocate as well. I'm sure most of you know Holly Edwards, who filled this position before, and she left really, really big feet print, and I will never be able to fill those feet print. But from working with her in the years past, I learned a lot from her, and so I do continue to carry that model. I want to carry the model that she portrayed there and the role that she played in people's lives there, and using the CARES model. And I don't look at health as just what you eat or what your blood pressure is, but it's everything. It's your environment, it's where you live, it's all of that stuff. So anyway, and then hopefully pretty soon when we get this clinic running well, we'll be able to spend more hours over in Crescent Halls as well to get that community going. So anyway, that's me.
Thank you. Welcome. Great question. Brandon, I just wanted to say I think 95% of what you asked us in comments will be covered tonight at some point. So we won't address them all in comments now, because I know it's coming. If there are no other comments from commissioners at this time, we'll look at minutes from our last board meeting in July, as well as minutes from the annual meeting held in July.
one question that my feeble mind might be losing this, but I know I came away from from that meeting believing that we had 5 or 6 residents that were having AC problems and they were addressed. Deborah Booker's comment that came prior to the mechanical guy reporting out, she said 30 fans were handed out to people whose AC wasn't working. Did she in fact say that, and I only remember the last person that spoke on that subject? Or there seems like a conflict between what I thought I knew about that meeting and that comment. And I do think with all the discussion that we have, for the minutes to reflect something that she didn't say on that subject, I would like to clarify that. I assume you look back at transcripts on all this? Do we know that?
Yeah, yes.
So just to verify that for me, assuming it's correct, I'm fine with it, but let's verify that it's correct.
We didn't have 35 units that were out of,
Mm-mm.
is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that
She said that 35 fans was handed out,
to people whose AC wasn't working.
right?
That's what this is quoted as saying. And
But
I
that
did
is
not believe that
what
to be the case.
Colonia
Well, I mean, I
said,
think Ms. Booker believed that to be the case at the time.
Okay.
And, you know, followed by the caveat of working or wasn't working properly,
Yeah,
or
if she's-
not perceived to be working.
Yeah.
So certainly 35 fans were 30 fans were handed out. The others are her perceptions of the.
Okay, well, just verify that she did say that. And
Okay.
if she said it, we can't change what she said,
Right.
but it might be wrong. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Are there other questions on the minutes from last meeting?
I would move approval of the minutes for August 23rd, or July 23rd, regular meeting.
Is there a second? Ms. Oliver?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I can abstain.
Yeah, Ms. Rutgers abstains because she wasn't here. Thank you all. So we have next on our agenda a conversation about community safety. And many of you pointed out that we are sort of reviewing the effectiveness of the policies we do have in place, and looking at other measures that we might consider. Mr. Duffield, I'll turn it over to you.
Certainly. Thank you, Chair Jones, members of the commission. Bring this issue back to our attention. As the commission will recall, last summer, we spent a significant amount of time as a commission going neighborhood to neighborhood, requesting input from the community concerning public safety, community safety matters. Very recently, several members of the community have reached out to me and other staff individuals, again expressing some concern about safety within their community. It seems as though it's a prudent time to bring the topic back for the commission and the community to review and discuss. Certainly, there are a number of policies that we have put in place over the past year. Be more than happy to talk about, sort of discuss the effectiveness of those. I don't know if that is if this is a topic, the nature of which we want to delve into at this meeting in depth. Is it something that we want to hold a workshop around? There are certain immediate concerns that community has expressed and staff have expressed concerning safety, and I need to get some guidance from the commission on how we potentially address some of those. Okay?
I need some more information about what we're really talking about.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Over the past month, and most recently this past weekend, we've had some disturbances at West Haven primarily. I think we've had one incident over at South First Street that are a cause for concern. We've had discharge of firearms. There's been, on a couple of occasions, a reported carjacking incident, although I don't know necessarily all that has gone into that. Yeah, I want to be careful because I don't want to create an impression that there is sort of catastrophic community safety concern. Nonetheless, we do hear from a number of residents who say, look, I have some concerns, and what can you, CRHA, do to help address those? One of the recommendations or one of the ideas that staff have brought to me would involve an increase in the scope of Millennium Security's contract with CRHA to include some type of patrol among some of our other sites. Certainly there are budget implications around that, and that's not anything that we've envisioned within the budget. Yeah, I'd be interested to hear the commission's thoughts and as we look to move forward around some of these concerns. Okay.
So for me, first I think we need to go into each community and find out what the issues are. We have to figure out a way how we get residents comfortable coming out talking about what the issues are.
Yeah.
There are people who have issues that will not come out because they become snitches or whatever. There are residents who pay rent who wants to live in a safe environment.
Sure.
That's a part of the lease that we sign that the Housing Authority is supposed to provide for us. Secondly, we have Millennium, who's at Crescent Halls, who we've had some pretty good meetings with. At the same time, you have the city police who are patrolling as well. I would like to see Millennium and the Housing Authority and the Charlottesville Police have conversations about who's allowed to do what when they come on the property. We keep talking about these issues that we have and nothing is happening. They keep coming back to the board, nothing happens. Keep coming back to the board, nothing happens. I see people every day in my community and I'm sick of seeing it. They can come in there and do what they want to do, things that I'm not allowed to do. Because my lease don't allow me to do those things. It don't allow a lot of us to do those things that they do in the community. So yes, we need to be able to have community meetings, get input from the residents on each site, and deal with it from there.
I would totally support, all of those comments. I don't think there's anything more important that, we might do that other than safety for our residents and the perception of safety of our residents. I mean, if somebody's, afraid to live in the community and is stuck inside their unit because, their only security is the deadbolt on their door, that's just a sad place to be. So I would absolutely support, getting on top of this. The, maybe I'm old school. I don't know if there's, some sense that all these things kind of flare up a little bit in the summer. Here we are at the end of the summer. Are we naturally ending up at a point where it might not be as bad? My immediate thought is, what are city police doing for us? Are they doing everything that they should be doing? And our residents feel comfortable, having a police presence increased in the neighborhood, if that's what it takes? And then beyond that, what's the specifics of our Millennium contract? Would we have to rebid a contract for other sites? Or do we have a relationship with them such that we could enter into a short-term, 60 days? We look at certainly adding West Haven and South First Street and get a better handle on, what our problems are and are those going to be continuing problems that we need to marshal, forces for, or is the weather gonna impact it a little bit, or just would a little bit of presence of security walking down the street, be all it really takes? It's awful easy for, those forces of evil is a little strong, but I mean, a lot of those guys are, they're just looking for opportunities. If it doesn't look like it's an opportunity, those guys will go somewhere else fast. So I would think we get a presence over there.
In my experience, when the police come into our community,
Yeah,
they're not sure what they can do and what they can't.
yeah,
And I think when you look at Millennium, they're limited to what they can do. They know what they can and what they can't do. And it needs to be an understanding between the housing authority, the residents, and security about what they can and what they can't do, and how we deal with it.
yeah.
And it needs to stop being conversations in this room. It needs to be conversations in another room with all of these entities
Yeah.
apart.
Well, I would support getting a meeting together with police. Just a little aside, it is, I don't know all the challenges the police face, but it's amazing. I've lived in my neighborhood for 30 years. And several times over the last 5 years, things that didn't happen for the previous 25 years started happening, and the police show up and say they can't do anything about it. I have no parking signs all the way down my street, and people pull off the street behind the no parking sign, and the police say, well, they're on private property now, I can't do anything about it. It's the weirdest thing in the world. So, I think police are struggling to figure out who they are and what they do, but we together, we need to have an understanding of what we can count on from them, and if they can't do it, we'll figure it out. But, seems like that would be our economical, and I would think ultimately our most impactful opportunity.
You're absolutely right, and I think, we had discussed working with Charlene Green and the Office of Human Rights to help put together a varmint training for officers and our staff jointly, so that everybody is on the same page when it comes to the varmint policy, which spells out very specifically